Hi, this is a video about poetry definitions, and you can take notes as we go along. Poetry is a kind of rhythmic, compressed language that uses figures of speech and imagery designed to appeal to our emotions and our imagination. So when I say rhythmic, because a lot of poetry is written with rhythm, and it pays attention to the sound of the words to create this rhythm. And it's compressed language, meaning the poets usually spend a lot of time choosing the precise words they want to use in order to convey the image or the emotion that they're trying to express. And they use a lot of figures of speech. It could be idioms, could be metaphors or similes. And the imagery often described by poetry is quite vivid. Poems can either be lyric or narrative. A lyrical poem expresses a feeling, evokes emotion, while narrative poems tell a story. There's many forms of poetry, and you may be able to just look at the poem and say, oh, it has 5 lines. I think this might be haiku, or this is 14 lines. I think this is a sonnet. And so you can recognize what kind of poem it is by its structure. It's 14 lines. It's 5 lines. The fact that it has a story and a simple rhyme is a ballad, right? A ballad tells a story, has a steady rhythm and a simple rhyme. An epic is a story, but it's about a great hero and embodies society's values. The ode is a long lyrical or feeling poem, usually praising a person or a thing. And a sonnet is a 14-line lyric poem. It has strict rules of structure, meter, and rhyme. So if you're writing a sonnet, you have to pay attention to the structure and follow the rules. Everything has rules. So all poetry is either lyric or narrative. So we have the ode, the sonnet, the elegy. Those are lyrical poems that express feelings. Narratives are ballads, epics. Okay? There are many other forms of poetry. Elegy is a poem of mourning. There's one that in our Unit 3 book, there's an elegy for Cesar Chavez. A couplet is just 2 lines of a poem, but by themselves, they could be a poem by itself. So 2 lines could be a poem called a couplet, 3 lines a triplet, 4 lines a quatrain, 5 lines a cinquain. A concrete poem is written into a shape. So if it's about a penguin, it might be in the shape of a penguin. A haiku, 3 lines, not 5. 17 syllables in the poem every time. So there are forms, and we have to pay attention to the syllables and the sounds and the length. Poets use many figures of speech and literary devices. So some of the things that you are supposed to know by 7th grade, and you need to look for assonance, onomatopoeia, rhythm, rhyme, internal rhymes, exact rhymes, approximate rhymes, free verse, and alliteration. Tone we've talked about before in literature. It's the attitude a writer takes towards the subject, characters, and audience, where the mood is the overall feeling evoked by the poem, okay, feeling of the poem. Assonance is when you're repeating vowel sounds in words, so those open A, E, I, O, U sounds that we create can be repeated, not at the beginning or the end necessarily, but in the words. And onomatopoeia is using words that with sounds that imitate or suggest their meaning. Meter is a pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables in poetry. It's similar to rhythm, creates rhythm. Alliteration is the repetition of consonant sounds in words that are close together. So that's when we have, baby, booty, buddy, all the, a bunch of B's, or Susie sells seashells, right? They're S's. Couplet, 2 lines of poetry. Free verse is the structureless type of poem, where it doesn't follow rules. It's just written to express. It's not confined. It's not limited by meter or rhyme. This form of poetry does not have an exact rhyme scheme or format. It could, I suppose, but it doesn't have to. Rhythm, the musical quality produced by the meter. It's the repetition of stressed and unstressed syllables. Rhyme is the repetition of accented vowel sounds and all the sounds following them. So, at, that, cat, so the A and the sounds following would be the T. 4 types of rhyme: exact, approximate, end, and internal. Approximate rhymes use the sounds that are similar, but they're not exactly the same. Internal rhymes, the rhyming occurs in the middle of the line of poetry, not at the end. Exact rhymes, the vowel sign and all the sounds that follow it are exactly the same in the 2 words that rhyme. And an end rhyme is rhyming that occurs at the end of the line of poetry. A rhyme scheme is the way we keep track of different rhyme sounds in a poem. For example, we always start with letter A. So roses are red, violets are blue, your name is Jed, and mine is too. Okay. Red is the end word, so that sound is called A. So the rhyme would be the ed. And then blue doesn't rhyme with red, so it gets a new word, B. So we have an A for the first line, a B for the second line. Oh, it should not be A, B, C, B. It should be A, B, A, B. I played around with this too much. So Jed rhymes with red, so it is red, blue, Jed, two. So the A's, the first and third line rhymed together, and the second and fourth line rhymed together. The rhyme scheme for this poem is A, B, A, B.